Welcome, please take your seats. Yes. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, please have a seat. We're about to lose our musicians, so while they're walking out, let's all thank them with the great music that they played here tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 17th annual Boise Rotary Century Scholars Program. And it's live streaming tonight, so all around the world will be participating in this event. My name is Ron Gambassi, and as a member of the Rotary Club of Boise, it's my honor to serve as this year's Master of Ceremonies. You know, in 2019, I was scheduled to do this, and at the last minute, we had to call an audible because we had a family medical emergency. And then in 2021, well, you all know what happened. I don't need to remind you about that. So they say the third time's the charm. So here we are back in person for the Boise Rotary Century Scholars 2022. Since our musicians have already left, I would like to point out to you that if you want to know who they were from Boise, from Bishop Kelly High, their names are down here in the program, and there were several of them, and we thank them again for their great work this afternoon. Playing under the direction of Lisa Cooper, and like I said, their names are all in the program. This event has special meaning to me because two of my sons have been past Rotary Century Scholars, one in 2012 and one in 2018. You know, 17 years ago, some local Rotarians and school district administrators envisioned a program to honor students who demonstrated exceptional academic and leadership credentials. This special evening is to recognize a group of accomplished and hardworking students. Equally important, and perhaps our students tonight would say, maybe more important, is the recognition they get to bestow upon their selected teacher. While we're at it, let's throw in a few kudos for the parents and grandparents who've inspired a way of being for these young adults. Yeah, thank you. You know, I still have vivid memories of specific events in certain classrooms with particular teachers, coaches who gave me the opportunity to explore, to question, to challenge, and to lead. These experiences left indelible images that have been etched in my memory for over 50 years. I wonder what images of teachers, mentors, coaches do you have right now as you think back from your life? You might even chat about that on the way home tonight with your Century Scholar. Our Century Scholars this evening come from a diversity of backgrounds, talents, interests, and have equally diverse ambitions. One or more of them will be replacing our hips and knees in years to come. Others will be designing the body parts used with 3D imaging. Some may play at Carnegie Hall, and others may dedicate their lives to the pursuit of clean water and nutrition for people in places around the world that many of us have never even heard of. I trust and hope some of them will become teachers. How cool would that be? Yeah. So to our students tonight, I say, wherever you wind up in the world, I hope you will become a Rotarian, because your talents would be far-reaching and valuable. I also hope that someday you choose to come back to Idaho so we can all be the beneficiaries of your success. There are many people and organizations to thank tonight for making this program possible. I'll mention just a few. First, thanks to the Rotary Club of Boise and to our sister clubs here in the city. Please join me in recognizing them and their years of support for this program. I'll introduce the leaders of our local Rotary clubs a bit later as they come up to the stage to present awards to the recipients. For now, let me just ask all the Rotarians here tonight to stand so we can acknowledge you. Wow. Nice. I think that's the largest group of Rotarians we've ever had at this event. And I noticed some older Rotarians and some younger ones. We must have some Rotaractors in the crowd. Are you guys some Rotaract or high school Rotary? Some of the school, college Rotarians that we have? Okay. You know, Rotary's motto is service above self. And just a little bit, you're going to hear more of that from our sponsoring club president. In addition, we also want to extend our gratitude to Jennifer Snow. Jennifer is the interim dean of the College of Education here at Boise State, and the associate, Suzanne Rainey, for allowing us to use this fabulous facility. So let's hear it for those folks as well. There are several businesses who have been longtime financial supporters of Rotary Century Scholars. They're in your program. There's a long list of them, and also in the Idaho Press tab, you'll see all the great companies and organizations that allow us to make this event possible. Finally, I want to acknowledge all the parents, family members who are here this evening, whether you're in the room or out on the live stream. You're the ultimate sponsors, cheerleaders, supporters of these outstanding students, and a special thanks to all of you. You might be wondering, why does Rotary sponsor this event? And how exactly does it fit in with the mission of Rotary? So we have a fabulous person here to answer that question for us. President of the Rotary Club of Boise, the Downtown Rotary Club, Scott Learned. Please come on up, Scott.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Scott Learned. I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Boise, and I have the rather dubious honor of presenting the infomercial portion of tonight's presentation. So bear with me. I'm here to tell you about what Rotary is and why we sponsor this event and what we do in the world. So Rotary Club of Boise has been around a little over 100 years. We have about 110 members, business professionals, community leaders, people from all walks of life, and we get together for lunch about once a week in downtown Boise. We have a speaker, we tell some dad jokes and tease each other a lot and have some fun. But we also raise money, and we use our time and our talents to go out in the world and try and make the world a better place to live. And so 20 or so years ago, some of the members of our club and some other clubs got together and said, one of the things we ought to do is recognize the efforts of graduating seniors and their educators that have worked so hard to get them through to graduation. And so that was how this event came into being, and it's been around now coming up on 20 years. But we're involved in all kinds of different projects in a variety of different areas. So we do a lot in the education and kind of helping young people arena. So we're partners with Whitney School. We're helping right now do a campus beautification project over there at Whitney. We partner with the Y Todd and I are going to head up to the Y camp this weekend up in Cascade to get the camp open and ready for campers this summer. I thought we were going up to repair bunk beds and stuff. I think we're actually going up to shovel snow, but time will tell. So a lot of those kinds of things. Our club is not alone in the Boise area. In fact, there are about a dozen Rotary clubs in Boise and Meridian. And so we often get together to partner up on projects in our community. One of the big ones we're working on right now is called the Rotary Wetlands Peace Preserve. And it's a little 20-acre strip of land between the athletic fields at Willow Lane Athletic Complex and the river. And the city had that land, and it was kind of neglected. No one was doing anything with it. And the city teamed up with the Rotary clubs. And so about once a month, Rotarians go out there to pull out all the invasive species and try to plant native plants and make it a nice habitat for native plants and animals and humans to go enjoy. So a lot of that kind of thing. The really cool thing about Rotary, though, is we are an international organization. So we've got clubs all over Idaho, all over the United States, but there are actually clubs all over the world. And Rotarians say that all the time, there's clubs all over the world. Well, I looked today, Starbucks has about 32,000 stores worldwide, and they're in about 80 countries, okay? Rotary International has 35,000 clubs worldwide, and we're in 200 countries. So when we say we are everywhere, we're really everywhere. You really can't get very far on the face of the earth without being next to a Rotary Club, okay? And that's really neat because our efforts here in Boise get teamed up with efforts from Rotarians all over the world to do amazing projects. So our club has partnered directly with clubs in Mexico and South America and Africa to do water sanitation projects, to do education projects. Right now, there are Rotarians in the Ukraine and in the neighboring countries working on the refugee crisis that's happening over there. Dollars from Boise Rotarians end up in the hands of the Rotarians over there. They're buying shelter, they're buying food, clothing, medical supplies, and getting it straight into the hands of refugees that need it. I'm sure that when that war finally comes to an end, Rotary will be there helping the country rebuild. We also have a really important youth exchange program called Rotary Youth Exchange that each year, although it hasn't happened the past few years, but it's going to come back, each year several thousand kids sort of trade homes with kids from other countries. And so kids from Boise go out into the world and kids from out in the world come back to Boise. And so we often will have several dozen kids in southern Idaho go into high school here, live in with local families, and then our kids are off in the world doing the same thing in other countries. One of Rotary's missions is to bring the world together, help us kind of bridge the divides that are so prevalent in our society today. And one of the really neat things about our club and Rotary as a whole is, it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, we just all get together to do good things in the world. Probably the thing we're best known for is our efforts to eradicate polio. So for the younger folks in the room, myself included, we grew up in a country where we didn't have polio. Polio was not a thing because polio was eradicated in the United States in 1979. But it wasn't eradicated in most countries in the world at that time. And actually in about 1980, Rotary International, led by some clubs out of the Philippines, said, we think we can eradicate polio worldwide. That's a pretty big thing to bite off, right? That's a pretty big project to undertake. In 1980, there were about 350,000 cases of polio each year. And if you're like, I don't really even know what polio is, I encourage you to ask some of the older folks in your life because they'll have stories for you about friends of theirs that were paralyzed from the disease, people who died. It was a really bad thing. In the last 12 months, I just looked at the numbers today, there have been 5 cases of polio worldwide. Okay, so we're down from 350,000 in 1980 to 5. So we're really close. Unfortunately, the way polio is, if we give up, we say, oh, that was pretty good, and we quit, it's going to come roaring back and take over the planet. So Rotarians are still very active in raising money, getting money out into the hands of people to do vaccinations. You'll see some of us sporting our End Polio Now sneakers. Limited edition, no longer for sale. But if you want to contribute to the cause, we've got other ways for you to do that. I looked up today, Rotarians in the last 40 years have contributed out of their own pockets $2.1 billion toward the eradication of polio, okay? So when I say it's a big effort, that's what I'm talking about. So that's who we are, that's what we do. And I want to encourage you all to join us in that. If you're an adult in the room, if you're an adult online, you are somewhere near a Rotary Club. And I guarantee you that if you walk in one day and say, I don't know, I heard about Rotary, it sounds cool, I want to know more, they will welcome you with open arms because Rotarians are some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. And they will have a home for you and they will have a project that you can get involved in. And if you have your own project, bring it to them and they will help you with it. Speaking specifically to our seniors, when you get to college, go find your college's Rotaract club, okay? That's Rotary for college students, Rotaract. If you don't find a Rotaract club, find your local Rotary Club and tell them you want to start a Rotaract Club, okay? Because you're going to attract some of the coolest kids on campus, and you all will have a common purpose, and you'll go do amazing things together. I'm going to be quiet now and go sit down, but I wanted to say thank you to our teachers for all that you do for our students, both these students here and all of your students every day. To the seniors, congratulations. We're very proud of you, and we look forward to hearing all the wonderful things that you go off into the world and do. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks, Scott. That was a great call to action. All right, well, it's now my pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker, a graduate of one of the Boise high schools represented here tonight. As mentioned earlier, this is the 17th year that we've been doing Boise Rotary Century Scholars, and each year we invite a distinguished graduate from one of the Boise high schools to deliver the keynote. This year, we are very proud to introduce 2014 Bishop Kelly High School graduate Danny Aravich to deliver the distinguished alumnus address. Some of you may know Danny. Some of you may have seen Danny on TV recently. When Danny was born, missing her left arm below the elbow was a complete surprise to her parents. But they were thankful she was otherwise completely healthy. Her mom said, although it was a shock initially that our daughter was born without her left forearm and hand, we were determined to raise our little girl without limiting or restricting her potential and never treating her as if she were disabled. The result is an amazing young woman who caught the attention of the U.S. Paralympic coaches for both track and field and Nordic skiing. While working in her profession, she trained daily in both categories and ultimately succeeded in making her double debut at both the 2020 Paralympics in Tokyo and the 2022 Winter Paralympics in Beijing. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend a warm Rotary welcome to Danny Aravich as this year's Century Scholars Distinguished Alumni.
Okay, let me know if I'm too close, too far away. Okay, we're gonna go here. I'm Danny. As he mentioned, I'm a 2020 and 2022 Paralympian, and it's kind of funny that I was asked to speak here because I was not at this dinner while I was at Bishop Kelly or this event. I didn't have good enough grades to be, so here I am 8 years later. Happy to be here though, and very honored that I was asked to speak. So, as mentioned before, I graduated from Bishop Kelly in 2014. And I think for probably most of you, our big goal in high school was to get into the college of our dreams. And that was my first big dream. And my first big dream was going to a small school called Notre Dame. And unfortunately, I did not get accepted. So I have to ask, is anyone going to Notre Dame in the fall? Anyone? Oh, I was gonna say, make a good South Bend joke about how terrible of a town it is and how you're gonna have a really terrible time. It's mostly out of jealousy. Well, congratulations. So I applied to 15 schools and I ended up at a small school in the same state called Butler University. Go Dogs, basketball school if you're not familiar with it. And I actually went to run cross country and track and field. I competed in soccer, basketball, softball, track, and cross country at Bishop Kelly. And luckily, cross country running seemed to stick somehow. And in just 2 years of running, I caught the attention of a Division I school. And so I went there to run. And to be honest, I don't think my coach even knew I was missing my hand until I showed up to the first practice. So he had a little bit of a surprise when he saw me. But I competed my freshman year, and then due to some personal things and wanting to focus on my career, I decided to leave the team. So kind of our theme today is dreaming big. I wanted to work for a professional sports team. I thought that was going to be my life. I loved pro sports. Like, I think when I was in middle school, I said I was going to be the first female GM of an NFL team. Like, that's what I was going to do. And I luckily started to live out that dream. While I was at Butler, I interned for the Indianapolis Colts. I interned for the Indiana Pacers. And I was doing everything right and working really hard to be able to accomplish this dream of working in pro sports. And I did. I got my first job out of school with a team called the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City, and I worked there for 2.5 years. It was while I was there that I was not feeling as filled with purpose and passionate about my job as I thought I would. And so I, missing my hand, am eligible to compete in the Paralympics. And growing up, we didn't know very much about it. We knew some and had met some people who were involved in the movement, but I didn't really understand the scope of the movement. So it was while I was working that I decided, why not, for fun, I'll start training for track and field again. It's been a few years, but we're gonna give it a go. I unfortunately was only able to compete in shorter distance events. I'll kind of explain a little bit more about the Paralympics in a few moments, but I was limited to certain track events if I wanted to go to the games. And I was a distance runner, and now I'm trying to run a 400-meter dash. And if you know anything about running, very different events. So there I was, working 9 to 5, actually more than 9 to 5. I worked for an NBA team, so I worked till the game was over. And I was trying to train to possibly accomplish this goal of Tokyo 2020. Well, in my first ever race in the 400, a few months after I started training, I fell with 10 meters left. And that to me was maybe a sign that I should go back to my job. This shouldn't be my future. This was maybe something fun to try for a period of time. But luckily, especially with the help of my mom and her encouragement, we decided we're going to keep trying this Paralympic thing. And it got to the point where I couldn't work a full-time job and try to be an elite athlete. So I was lucky enough to move into a part-time role within that organization. But that meant losing, a 401k and health insurance and all the great things that come with having a job. And so I went from having my full-time job to making $10 an hour to still work for the team, but to train. And that definitely was probably one of the hardest things that I had to learn, especially, going to college to get my job, to work, to be stable, was having to just take a step back and then just say, all right, we're gonna do this and we're gonna accept the consequences, which might mean there's gonna be some hardships. Well, from track and field training, a few months later, somehow, some way, a Nordic ski coach saw me. And she invited me to try out Nordic skiing, cross-country skiing. And it is a pretty small program for the Paralympic team. But I went to a camp in Breckenridge in 2019, and I loved it. And I think I loved it a lot because it reminded me of cross-country running, which was my first true love, I think, in sports. So through that, I was now training for 2 sports. I was training for a 400-meter dash, super short, race, sprint, and now I'm trying to ski for an hour and a half. And so for the rest of that year, I continued to train. I continued to try to work, to pay the bills, to do it all. And the cancellation of the games happened. So Tokyo 2020 was now going to be Tokyo 2021. And I had to decide, do I keep training through this? I need to find something to do for work because I was unemployed for a period of time. But I took a leap of faith and continued to train. And luckily, this summer and this winter, it all paid off. So to give some people background on the Paralympics, because again, I didn't know anything about the Paralympics growing up, really. The word para in Paralympics does not mean the paralyzed Olympics. A lot of people assume that. It actually comes from a Greek word, which means along or besides. So the point of the Paralympics is we aren't the little sister to the Olympics, we are equal parts. And that's something we're really trying to change right now, is getting more people interested in watching the Paralympics. Did anyone here watch the Winter Games at all? All right, cool. Awesome, that's great to hear. So some of the disabilities that are included are anything from amputations to visual impairments, paralyzations, etc. And the Paralympics are very interesting because you get such a wide range of people, and some people who have acquired their disability or born with it. For example, one of my teammates, Dan Knausen, he was a platoon commander of the SEAL Team 1, where he stepped on an IED in Afghanistan, and both of his legs were blown off. And Dan, after his injury, and he was done with the military, he found cross-country skiing and now is a multi-time medalist across 2 different games. My teammate, Oksana Masters, you've probably seen her, honestly, if you've taken a Delta flight recently, she's in the commercial on when you start the Delta flight. She was born in a Ukrainian orphanage, and she wasn't adopted until she was 10 years old, and she spent her first 10 years of life having a disability that affected her legs and being abused in an orphanage in Ukraine until she was luckily adopted by an American woman, brought here, and had to have her legs amputated. She has medals across 3 different sports, very accomplished young woman, but it's really cool the different people you get to meet, and everyone has a really unique story. The Paralympics did not have the same recognition that the Olympics did, I think, until the past few years. We're really lucky that the United States Olympic Committee absorbed the Paralympic Committee, and now we're the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. To give you another piece of perspective, in the Rio 2016 Summer Games, a Paralympian was paid for their gold medal by the committee $7,500. An Olympian was paid $36,500. Luckily, they retroactively have paid the Rio Olympian or Paralympians back on that, but there is still a lot that we need to do to try to make it equal. NBC has been a really great partner, so it was more accessible for people to be able to watch the Paralympics, which was fabulous to see. And definitely media is doing a good job, but it's kind of, I feel like my goal as a Paralympian now to make sure that people know we exist, first off, and care to watch us. Because yes, obviously I love the Olympics, it's really cool, but have you seen a visually impaired skier who has no sight go down a mountain 60 miles an hour? Or seen a wheelchair rugby that they call death ball because they're quite literally shoving metal wheelchairs into one another. And so I just really hope everyone can take forward, learn more about the Paralympics, care to watch the Paralympics. And part of also what I feel like now I want to do that I'm competing is also spread more of a message about disability inclusion. When I was growing up, I was born without my hand, so I was physically different than a lot of my peers. And I knew one other person growing up who went through the same school system in Boise who was missing her hand as well. But that was really about it. And so I just want, especially all of you who are going off to college and going to meet new people, we are trying to normalize seeing disability in everyday life. And so I just hope that now that you guys have met me, that you, next time maybe you see someone, missing a limb or who uses a wheelchair, it's going to become more familiar, more normal. And it's kind of crazy because I definitely have not experienced a lot of issues with having my disability or people looking down on it. But now that I'm in this community and I'm meeting so many people with these different stories, I've had friends who have a disability that isn't visible be told by sponsors, be told by companies they're trying to reach out to help fund their competing, that they don't look disabled enough for an ad or a commercial. I've had a friend be turned away from a restaurant because there was quite literally no ramp for her to get inside and no way for her to access it. So I've been able to volunteer now with a few organizations that have been really great, helping with this. Shriners Hospitals for Children make prosthetics for children up until the age of 18. I volunteer for an organization called Nubbability Athletics, which is all amputee children, and they're only taught by other amputees. So the kids and the parents actually get to see someone who looks like their son or daughter be able to compete in a high level of sport. And to summarize, I just encourage, these are last minute reminders with the conversation of disability. Normalize it, talk about it. Don't shame people about asking. Curiosity is good. And we would much rather have someone ask us than overhear someone saying, shh, don't ask, don't ask. And, you know, I've seen this just recently, and so it was on my mind. Parking in handicap spots, using handicap restrooms. I had a friend last week when we were together who had to wait an extra long time because non-disabled people were using the handicapped restroom. So things like that. On social media now, you can put words over your videos so that someone who might have had a hearing impairment can read the words, and vice versa. Someone who has a visual impairment, if you put a description of the photo at the bottom, it could be really helpful for them as well. So my dream has definitely changed. Again, I wanted to go to Notre Dame, then I wanted to work in sports, and now I want to win medals and represent the US. So I think what I could give the best advice to you seniors is obviously dream big, as cheesy as it is, but also be willing to divert from your dream, because new dreams are going to come up, and you might be stuck on one thing right now, which is great, and put your energy towards that. But again, life happens, things can divert. If you would ask me 5 years ago if I'd be on like NBC skiing a race, I never would have believed you. So that's the biggest piece of advice I could give you. For me, next, I'm a crazy person. I'm deciding to try another sport out, so I'm going to try triathlon this summer and see if we could get to the Paris 2024 games, continue to cross-country ski as well. And my next big dream is definitely to be able to stand on the podium and hear the national anthem play. So again, thank you guys so much for listening. I know we kind of talked a few different topics, my background, Paralympics, disability inclusion, but I hope you can check out some of the para athletes, feel inspired by seeing them commit their lives to learning and training every day, and learn from their dedication and being able to compete at that high of a level. Because you guys, again, no matter what you do in life, you're going to have to work hard and commit your life to whatever that one thing is that you want to do. So just go at it full force. And I hope you can apply some of these concepts to what you'll be doing in school next year. But yeah, dream big and be open to the changes. So thank you guys so much.
I know we're inspired by at least one para athlete in the room tonight, aren't we? Good for you, Danny. Thank you so much. And by the way, Danny's mom, Kate, is here as well. You had something to do with this, Kate, I think. So good on you, Kate. Now, Danny, normally I would have the privilege of putting this really cool medallion around your neck. It's not as cool as an Olympic medal, but it's a pretty cool medal. But I don't have one.
We didn't name one.
And by the way, I don't have one for the 100 of you scholars either. They're in Shanghai.
Oh.
No joke, you can't make this stuff up. They're really in a container somewhere between China, Shanghai, and Boise, Idaho. And they're not here yet. But I promise you, you'll get one. And all of you will get one. But we do have a not quite as cool certificate as the medal. And it says Certificate of Recognition and all the Rotary cool stuff for Danny Aravich. Thank you so much, Danny. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's not even a joke. You know, B, our co-host tonight, said, Ron, we have no medals. They're in Shanghai. Can you work that into the speech somehow? All right. The other thing I'll work in, I understand we have several people on the live stream, so everybody sort of turn around and wave to the camera and say hi to those on the live stream tonight. We're glad you guys are here as well, even though you couldn't be in the room with us. All right, so now we're going to get on with the rest of the show. This is the part where everybody gets acknowledged. I'm going to introduce the principals. I want to say first, thanks to the Idaho Press. We once again have an impressive printed program that showcases every one of our century scholars. If you haven't done so, pick one up on your way out of the forum tonight, and you'll learn more about these outstanding students, where they're planning to go to college, something about their honored educator, and you'll also find the web address if you want to get it online. So ladies and gentlemen, we're now ready to meet and honor our 2022 Rotary Century Scholars and their honored educators. We'll present the awards by school, beginning with Bishop Kelly, Danny Aravich's alma mater, followed by Boise High, Borah, Capital, Frank Church, Riverstone, Sage International, and last but not least, Timberline. All the students and their teachers will assemble here on my left. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the representatives of our sponsoring Rotary clubs who are going to be here handing out certificates, but no medallions. First, we have Scott Learned, who you heard from already, president of the Rotary Club of Boise Sunrise. John Lodahl, president-elect of the Rotary Club of Boise Sunrise, I'm sorry. Scott is the president of Boise Downtown Rotary Club. John Lodahl, president-elect of the Rotary Club of Boise Sunrise. Donna Hiller, also of the Boise Sunrise Club. Come on up, Donna. And Terry Gilbert, past district governor of 5400. That's our Rotary district. So Scott and Donna are going to lead the way. When they get tired, John and Terry are going to come up and spell them. All right, an important note. So we'll remind each student educator, when you come up here, pause for a minute before you leave the stage, because your folks want cool pictures of you smiling. So don't be camera shy tonight. All right, each principal will first provide comments and insights about their school's Century Scholars, and then Dan Holler, Public Affairs Administrator for Boise School District, and B. Black, our event co-chair, will read the names of this year's Century Scholars and their honored educators, including a brief information about why the students selected their significant educator, and that is always the coolest part. This will allow each principal to join the receiving line to congratulate students and teachers. So let me ask the Century Scholars for Bishop Kelly, who look like they're high achievers. They're already up here. While we do that, I'll introduce and ask Principal Mike Caldwell from Bishop Kelly to come up, who will introduce his 2022 Rotary Century Scholars and their honored educators. Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you, Ron. First, I also want to apologize to Danny Aravich. As the liaison for Bishop Kelly and getting Danny here, I failed to mention that we didn't have dinner here provided as usual. So she flew in, I think, at a couple hours before the event started, and maybe expecting dinner, but she was starving. So I apologize for that. I'm glad she didn't faint while she was up here. So. And I also want to thank B and Dan for their work, excellent work on putting this together after a 2-year hiatus. I know it's been a lot to corral us principals and getting out everything that you need, so thank you for your work. So tonight it's my pleasure to introduce to you an amazing group of seniors from Bishop Kelly High School and their selected individuals that have inspired, supported, and helped them succeed along the way. The 9 students that you're about to meet were selected among their 232 Bishop Kelly classmates based on their weighted GPA. These students have challenged themselves throughout high school to take the most rigorous coursework that we offer. All are involved in activities beyond the classroom, and each have given countless hours in service to their community. In preparation for tonight's remarks, I asked each of these 9 students 2 questions. The first question was a simple one. What makes you unique? The second question I thought a little bit more complicated. What are some of the world's biggest problems that you find yourself thinking about and wanting to impact in your lifetime? Now keep in mind that these same 9 students have cruised through about every exam that has been put in front of them, have crushed countless curves to the great dismay of their classmates, have ripped through standardized tests as if they were simply reciting the alphabet. but ask them to reflect about what is unique about themselves, and you'd think I was suddenly speaking a new language that only I knew about. So tonight, when you see these students walk across the stage, you might notice they look a little tired, a little disheveled. Please know that it's not the 2.5 years of COVID that has taken the toll, nor the late nights of cramming for the AP exams or the AP classes. It's none of that. These kids went through a very tough interview with their principal today. What makes you unique? I thought I was throwing them an underhand, slow-pitch wiffle ball, but I was wrong. I found it surprising that each of these students could quickly answer the second question of which of the world's problems they felt most passionate about changing or improving. Their answers included things like focusing on the impact of technology on the world, improving foreign relations, broadening access to education globally, developing cleaner, more efficient energy solutions, climate change, better medical solutions for non-communicable diseases, and various human rights issues. In terms of what makes them unique, some of them are still trying to answer that question, and it's okay that you're still trying to figure that out. But as of today, I'm happy to introduce a group of students that includes an excellent softball player that can also sing, an identical twin that wants to dedicate his life to telling stories about people. In this group, we have a young man that can dunk a basketball, and we also have a 4-time state wrestling champion. We have a young lady that volunteers regularly at the YMCA Thrive program working with kids with autism, a young lady that is an eternal optimist, and a young man that feels most complete when he is serving others. And we also have a very innovative thinker and problem solver. So each of these students are truly unique, and I have confidence that each of them will go out and do great things beyond high school. The 9 students are great ambassadors of our school and our community, and will continue to be leaders in our big world beyond high school. And of course, none of this would be possible without the selected distinguished educators that are here tonight, and all the faculty, staff, and parents that have challenged, encouraged, and guided them along the way. Being an educator today is arguably one of the most challenging careers out there. The last couple of years were unprecedented, and you educators are to be commended. Today, we honor 100 distinguished educators, and in honoring one, we honor all. So in closing, congratulations to each of our honored students and their distinguished educators. You are very deserving of this honor, and we are very proud of you. Now it's my pleasure to turn over the microphone to B. Black to present Bishop Kelly's 2022 Rotary Century Scholars. Thanks, B.
Thank you very much, Mr. Caldwell. Our first Bishop Kelly High School Century Scholar is Pilar Cook.
Tammy Taylor, 3rd grade teacher, Highlands Elementary School, is Pilar's selected educator. Miss Taylor is a caring, kind-hearted, and creative person who is dedicated to teaching her students to be the best they can be, wrote Pilar. Pilar is weighing her college options, but plans to study for a career in electrical engineering. Pilar Cook and Tammy Taylor. Owen Curtin. Danielle Bainbridge, Bishop Kelly High School language arts teacher, is Owen's selected educator. Mrs. Bainbridge encouraged me to explore writing out of the classroom, wrote Owen. She allowed me to write about topics I found passion in and was influential in making me the person I am today. Owen plans to study journalism at Yale University this coming fall. Owen Curtin and Danielle Bainbridge. John Horton. Rich Raimondi, retired president, Bishop Kelly High School, is John's selected educator. Mr. Raimondi helped me organize the BK Bracket Challenge, a school-wide event in which I was able to raise money to relieve medical debt for people in my community, wrote John. He plans on attending the University of Notre Dame in the fall semester of 2022. John Horton and Rich Raimondi. Mary Margaret Hunter. Christina Gazdick, Bishop Kelly High School, is Mary Margaret's selected educator. Mrs. Gazdick has helped me to challenge myself and think about world problems in new ways, wrote Mary Margaret. She always has a positive attitude and is a great example for her students. Mary Margaret plans to attend the University of Idaho to study international relations. Mary Margaret Hunter and Christina Gazdick. Christopher Martino, Nicole Thomas, 8th grade humanities teacher, St. Ignatius Catholic School, is Christopher's selected educator. Mrs. Thomas is an excellent teacher because she finds ways to motivate each of her students in a unique way while being patient, kind, and encouraging, wrote Christopher. He plans to attend Princeton University, studying for a career in medicine and competing in Division I wrestling. Christopher Martino and Nicole Thomas. At this time, I would ask that students, educators, and the principal of Boise High begin to assemble for their awards. Now back to our Century Scholars from Bishop Kelly High School. Daniel Russell and Kevin Grant, history teacher, Innovate Academy, is Daniel's selected educator. Mr. Grant always demanded excellence in all we did as students, desired our success, and celebrated our achievements with us, wrote Daniel. Daniel plans to attend the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where he plans to major in engineering to become an Air Force pilot and aeronautical engineer. Daniel Russell and Kevin Grant. Strider Shasberger, Larry Crump, 12th grade social studies teacher, Bishop Kelly High School, is Strider's selected educator. Of all of my high school teachers, Mr. Crump held the greatest impact for his passion, history, and learning, his jovial and lighthearted personality, and his love to teach, wrote Strider. Strider plans to attend Texas Christian University to pursue a degree in petroleum or nuclear engineering. Strider Shasberger and Larry Crump. Molly Sparkman, Ben Harris, 11th grade AP US history teacher, Bishop Kelly High School, is Molly's selected educator. Mr. Harris is a standout teacher because of his passion for teaching beyond just the class. Throughout the years, I have always felt welcomed into his classroom to ask whatever is on my mind, wrote Molly. Molly is still weighing her college options, but plans to study to become a software developer. Molly Sparkman and Ben Harris. Justice Walker, Mary McClure, middle school science teacher, St. Joseph's Catholic School, is Justice's selected educator. Mrs. McClure taught me how to challenge myself, how to be curious and inquisitive, how to study for exams, and I've used what I've learned in her class in every aspect of my life, wrote Justice. She plans to attend Notre Dame to study physics and pursue a career as a physician. Justice Walker and Mary McClure. Ladies and gentlemen, these were your Boise Rotary Century Scholars from Bishop Kelly High School. Let's give them another round. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next award presenter, Principal Rob Thompson, who will introduce his outstanding students and their selected educators from Boise High School. Mr. Thompson.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you, B. I would like to actually take just a moment to first recognize the resilience of all of these students. I know for our students in the Boise School District with three-year high schools, their entire high school career has been marked by the COVID pandemic, and I'm just super proud that they have persevered, and here we are tonight, in a in-person setting with the ability to do this. So how about a round of applause for all the kids? I would also like to thank B. Black, the Rotary Club of Boise, Dan Haller, all of the students, parents, teachers, and partners in education for making this evening possible. A lot of work goes into achieving academically at such a high level, and a lot of work goes into putting together a special program to recognize that. So thank you to everybody who was a part of putting together this evening's ceremony. We really appreciate that. So a round of applause for them as well, please. It is a pleasure this evening to introduce the 2022 Century Scholars from Boise High and the educators who have mentored and inspired them. Although the 24 students we honor this evening are unique in their interests, talents, and aspirations, they have many similarities. They are all part of what makes Boise High so special, continuously modeling our guiding principles of balance, resilience, acceptance, valor, and engagement. These are the qualities that make them the brave. Boise High has a rich tradition of academic excellence, and these students and educators have advanced this tradition with pride and integrity. While these students have worked extremely hard in the classroom and given a great deal to their community, they have also taken great care to acknowledge the importance of those who have mentored them in developing the necessary skills to be such conscientious, caring, and articulate citizens. And those are their teachers. You see, the most important part of school to many of these students is the relationship with their teachers. These students appreciate, admire, and honor their teachers, many of whom are accompanying them here tonight. Our Century Scholars have gifts that will allow them to make their marks upon the world. And as John Steinbeck once said, I've come to believe that a great teacher is a great artist, and that there are as few as there are any other great artist. Teaching might even be the greatest of the arts, since the medium is the human mind and spirit. These teachers and students we honor this evening are simply exceptional. Thank you, and please welcome the Century Scholars for 2022 from Boise High School. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Dan Haller, who will introduce them.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Our first Boise High School Century Scholar is Anina Bradley. Sharon Hansen, 10th through 12th grade creative writing teacher, Boise High School, is Anina's selected educator. Ms. Hansen fostered community in her classroom and supported each one of her students, encouraging us at sporting events and in the margins of our papers. What I learned from her, I will carry with me forever, wrote Anina. Anina is currently weighing her college and career choices at this time. Anina Bradley and Sharon Hansen. Mia Busalagic-Bejic, Mark Brills, 5th and 6th grade teacher, Longfellow Elementary School is Mia's selected educator. Unfortunately, Mia was not able to join us tonight as her return flight from visiting colleges back east has been delayed. Receiving the award in her place is her mother, Sedina Busalagic-Bejic. Mia had this to write about Mr. Brills. He is a kind and caring teacher who supported my desire to learn in a way no other teacher had. He helped me realize my true potential by encouraging me to pursue higher level math at a young age. I wouldn't be where I am today without him. Mia is still evaluating where to attend college, but plans to study for a degree in applied mathematics. Mia Busalagic-Bejic and Mr. Mark Brills. James Byrne III. Allison Taylor, 7th grade accelerated reading teacher, North Junior High School, is James' selected educator. Ms. Taylor truly models care for others, watching my matches, guiding me in personal conflicts, applying stories to my life, sparking creative thought, always bringing a beaming smile, and celebrating the best team, the 2016 world champion Chicago Cubs, wrote James. James will attend Dartmouth College to pursue a modified government plus economics and philosophy degree. James plans to enter the public policy sector and eventually run for elected office. James Byrne III and Allison Taylor. Thomas Dean. Amber Tetrick, 10th and 11th grade AP English and AP Language Arts teacher, Boise High School is Thomas's selected educator. I have spent countless lunches talking with Miss Tetrick in her classroom, and she has been there for my highs and my lows. She also wrote my letter of recommendation for college. I really want to thank Miss Tetrick. She deserves it, wrote Thomas. Thomas will be attending Duke University and studying public policy. Thomas Dean and Amber Tetrick. Darcy DeAngelis, Lindsay Wilmot, 10th and 11th grade Spanish teacher, Boise High School, is Darcy's selected educator. Senora Wilmot encouraged me in the classroom, wrote Darcy. She makes learning exciting, and she's always a positive role model. Darcy plans to attend Smith College this coming fall, where she will pursue her undergraduate studies. Darcy DeAngelis and Lindsay Wilmot. Elon Ford, Riley Lingar, 7th grade life science teacher, North Junior High School, is Elon's selected educator. Miss Lingar teaches in unique and exciting ways. She uses methods such as teaching students through song to engage every student's learning. Elon will attend St. Catherine's University to study pre-dentistry and play NCAA women's ice hockey. She hopes to be an orthodontist once she completes her studies. Elon Ford and Riley Lingar. Gavin G. John Statlander, 8th grade English teacher, Hillside Junior High School, is Gavin's selected educator. Miss Statlander had a significant impact on my education and created a personal connection in the classroom that made coming to class so much more than just reading, writing, and discussing, wrote Gavin. Mr. Statlander created an exciting and stimulating environment, encouraging me to become a better student, peer, and person as a whole. Gavin is currently weighing his college options and is considering studying for degrees in engineering and film photography. Gavin G. and John Statlander. Riley Gibson, Ryan Williams, history teacher, Boise High School, is Riley's selected educator. Mr. Williams taught me how to be challenged in the classroom and be successful, wrote Riley. He was always supportive of his students and excited about teaching world history. Without his guidance, I don't think I would be as successful a person or a student. Riley will be attending Carrollton College to study and play soccer. Riley Gibson and Ryan Williams. Jamie Hamlin, Aaron Allswanger, track and cross-country coach, Boise High School, is Jamie's selected educator. Mr. Allswanger is engaging, positive, inspirational, understanding, and invested in developing people, wrote Jamie. She plans to attend Oregon State University this coming fall to study to become a lawyer. Jamie Hamlin and Aaron Allswanger. Hayden Hichman, Jill Fitterlick, 6th grade teacher, English and history, Hollister Elementary School, is Hayden's selected educator. Miss Fitterlick taught me how to learn and transition to a new phase of my life, wrote Hayden. She dared my class to explore and inquire on our own. More importantly, she taught 9 bright kids how to coexist as teenagers and embark on our futures. Hayden plans to attend the University of Utah, considering studying the following: biology with a minor in psychology and/or Spanish. Hayden Hichman and Jill Fitterlick. Everett Laban, Monica Church, AP Capstone, AP Government Student Council teacher, Boise High School, is Everett's selected educator. I have had the pleasure to get to know Miss Church through 3 different classes, wrote Everett. She is one of the most informed, intelligent, and funny people I know. She regularly connects with what we learn to the news and world around us, which has been very enlightening. Everett is contemplating his college options, but plans to major in biology and then pursue a career in medicine. Everett Laban and Monica Church. Malia McCall. Scott Arnold, 11th grade AP European history teacher, Boise High School, is Malia's selected educator. Mr. Arnold helped me realize my passion for history and international relations, always made time for engaging discussions, and encouraged me and my classmates to pursue our interests, wrote Malia. He gave excellent academic advice, and his lectures inspired me. Malia is weighing her college options, but plans to attend college to study to become a lawyer. Malia McConnell and Scott Arnold. Liam Murray. Amber Wagner, 6th grade teacher, Hidden Springs Elementary School, is Liam's selected educator. Unfortunately, Miss Wagner was not able to attend tonight. Walking with Liam will be her grandparents. This is what Liam had to write about Miss Wagner. She was my gateway to accelerated education. I thrived in her 6th grade class because of the caring learning environment and her fun approach to problem solving. She enabled my strengths in the classroom and made learning a joy. Liam plans to attend Dartmouth College and to study biomedical engineering and economics and run track. Liam Murray and Amber Wagner. Anushka Naidu, Aaron Galanado, 10th grade AP Physics, Boise High School, is Anushka's selected educator. Ms. Galanado is a teacher and a friend. She is someone I trust and know, and I can come to with anything. She has supported me throughout all of high school, and her wisdom, optimism, and honesty make her an exceptional role model. And Anushka is considering where to attend college. She's leaning, I should say, to Carnegie Mellon, but plans to study for a career in computer science. And Anushka Naidu and Aaron Galanado. Eddie Warmstep. Mike Fisher, physical science and chemistry teacher, College of Western Idaho, is Eddie's selected educator. Mr. Fisher was the very first teacher to really encourage my curiosity, wrote Eddie. He was always happy to talk with me about specific subjects that had nothing to do with the class he was teaching. That's not a bad thing. That's okay. I do not think I would have pursued science if not for him. Eddie is currently considering where to attend college. He plans to study to become either a computer scientist, mathematician, or something in between. Eddie Ormseth and Mike Fisher. Alexander Patrick. Jeff Ulrichson, 11th grade AP U.S. history teacher, Boise High School, is Alexander's selected educator. Miss Ulrichson made history interesting and engaging to me, wrote Alexander. His teaching style was fun and allowed the students to personalize our learning methods, and he made great connections with me and others. Alexander is considering his college options at this time, but plans to study economics in college. His career interests include data analytics, entrepreneurship, economics, and data science. Alexander Patrick and Jeff Ulrichson. Charles Rowe, Andrew Porter, 9th grade English teacher, North Junior High School, is Charles' selected educator. In addition to being a terrific English teacher, Mr. Porter was also the only teacher I ever trusted to share my personal issues and concerns about not just school, but anything I wanted, wrote Charles. He plans to attend the University of Virginia to study economics. He plans to go on to earn an MBA and work in the marketing and sales sector. Charles Rowe, Andrew Porter. Abigail Scamradella, Matt Ruda, 9th grade counselor, Hillside Junior High School, is Abigail's selected educator. Mr. Ruda was my counselor as well as student counselor advisor, wrote Abigail. I worked with him to plan events for the school, and he was always willing to listen and offer any support that I might need. I felt as though I could talk to him whenever I needed. Abigail is contemplating where to attend college, but plans to become a lawyer and eventually a judge. Abigail Scamardella, and Matt Ruda. Barrett Schaus, Reed Spain Strombum, 7th and 10th grade calculus and algebra 1 teacher, Boise High School, is Barrett's selected educator. Mr. Spain is an incredible teacher who makes his students feel respected, wrote Barrett. His classroom is always open to new ideas and questions. And Mr. Spain is my go-to teacher if I ever need advice or help with something. Barrett is in the process of determining which college to attend and what degree to pursue. Barrett Schaus and Reed Spain Strombum. Logan Smith, Marty Dinkelman, 12th grade calculus BC teacher, Boise High School, is Logan's selected educator. Miss Dinkelman's patience and energy have been so influential in sparking my love for mathematics, wrote Logan. Her passion for teaching is inspiring, and I have learned more than I could have ever hoped for from her instruction. She truly makes calculus fun. You're supposed to laugh at that point. No. It is fun. Logan will attend Stanford University this coming fall, where she will play on Stanford's women's soccer team. She plans to pursue a career in professional athletics and then potentially work in the medical field. Logan Smith and Marty Dinkelman. Asha Soni, Nicole Johnson, 3rd grade teacher, Washington Elementary School, is Asha's selected educator. Miss Johnson was the first teacher to show me that I can push myself inside the classroom, wrote Asha. She had me tested for GATE, which was the starting point for all of my academic opportunities. Even more, she supported me and showed me that I could do anything. Asha is considering her college options, but plans to attend college to pursue a career in medicine as a physician. Asha Soni and Nicole Johnson. Catherine Stevens, Kyle Mcmorrow, American government teacher, Boise High School, is Catherine's selected educator. Mr. Mcmorrow never fails to make a room of 18-year-olds laugh at 7:30 a.m., wrote Catherine. He graciously helped me with drafting legislation and was an open ear to my rants about my distaste of politicians. Catherine is considering where to attend college, but plans to study for a career in the area of humanitarian crisis relief. Catherine Stevens and Kyle Mcmorrow. At this time, we would ask that students from Borah High School begin to assemble on the on deck. Now back to our students from Boise High School. Catherine Turk, Dawn Douthit, 3rd grade through 12th grade, private violin instructor, is Catherine's selected educator. Dawn, in teaching violin, taught me the value of music, overcoming differences and creating connection, wrote Catherine. Beyond music, she supported me through the good and bad. She is witty, resilient, courageous, caring, brave, and bright. She is an inspiration. Catherine is contemplating her college choices. She plans to attend law school to become an attorney. Catherine Turk and Dawn Douthit. Tony Wan, Dr. Don Warner, Organic and Medicinal Chemistry, Boise State University is Tony's selected educator. I'm sorry, we have Jack Zuckerman right now. Dr. Tony Wan and Dr. Don Warner were not able to be here tonight. Jack Zuckerman, Angela Troy, 3rd and 4th grade teacher, Highlands Elementary School, is Jack's selected educator. Miss Troy was a fantastic elementary teacher and shaped a lot of who I am, wrote Jack. She is incredibly good at making education encouraging and engaging for young children, which is difficult. Jack is hoping to attend college in California at UC Berkeley to study art history. He plans to work in the music or visual arts industries. Jack Zuckerman and Angela Troy. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your Boise High Century Scholars for 2022. Please, another round of applause. Now, please allow me to introduce to you Borah High School's principal, Mr. Tim Stanley, who has the pleasure of presenting his 2022 Rotary Century Scholars and their honored educators. Mr. Tim Stanley.
I'd like to echo what some of the others have said, and just really a huge thank you to Be Black, the Rotarians, Dan Haller. There's so much work for months and months and months that go into this. They make it look easy, but it's a massive amount of work, and we really appreciate it. So again, a huge thank you to all those folks putting this together. I'm thrilled tonight to be able to share with the entire community what makes the Borah community such a special place. It is a simple formula: amazing parents, amazing kids, and an amazing support system that is anchored by teachers who make a difference on a daily basis. At Borah, we pride ourselves in academically challenging students and supporting students at every level. These students have chosen to challenge themselves at the highest levels possible and have succeeded. This level of commitment requires sacrifices that are not always easy. But then again, these students did not get to where they are by doing what is easy. These are incredible kids, and they inspire us all. They remind us daily why it is we do what we do, and they give us no doubt that our future is bright and in great hands. Now let's meet the heart and soul of Borah High.
Thank you very much, Principal Stanley. Our first Borah High Century Scholar is Sydney Blood and Brittany Smith, psychology teacher. Borah High School is Sydney's selected educator. Mrs. Smith was an educational and personal inspiration to me during my junior year, wrote Sydney. She kept learning fun and engaging during online school and encouraged curiosity and personal responsibility in the classroom. I am thankful to have been influenced by her knowledge and personality. Sydney plans to attend Utah State University, majoring in psychology and minoring in leadership and management. Sydney Blood and Brittany Smith. Sam Bray. Christopher Irwin, mathematics teacher, Treasure Valley Math and Science Center, is Sam's selected educator. Mr. Irwin taught me that math was a language and has inspired me to continue learning math so I can become fluent and help translate the beautiful language of the universe, wrote Sam. Sam plans to study applied mathematics at Rice University in Houston, Texas. Regarding his career goal, Sam wants to use mathematics to model complex situations and conduct research. Sam Bray and Christopher Irwin. Brian Daly, Craig Daniels, physics, math, and computer science teacher, Treasure Valley Math and Science Center, is Bryant's selected educator. Mr. Daniels enabled me to discover my passion for computer science. Mr. Daniels made complex topics easy to understand and encouraged my growth beyond the course in fun projects, wrote Brian. I can also never get enough of Mr. Daniels' hilarious deadpan humor. Brian plans to attend Columbia University to study for a career in computer science. Brian Daly and Craig Daniels. Brandon Harry. Brad Peachy, history teacher, Borah High School, is Brandon's selected educator. Mr. Peachy is my favorite teacher at Borah by far because of how friendly he is and because I know that I can trust him, wrote Brandon. World history, a class that most students don't look forward to, was made one of my favorite classes during my junior year because of him. Brandon plans to attend the University of Idaho. Brandon, Harry, and Brad Peachy. Hunter Holbrook. Mike Healy, statistics teacher, Borah High School, is Hunter's selected educator. Mr. Healy keeps coursework engaging, makes me enjoy statistics, wrote Hunter. I also appreciate his influence on my chess game and the tournaments we attended together. Hunter plans to attend the University of Idaho to study for a career in biomedical engineering. Hunter Holbrook and Mike Healy. Lily Jenkins. Corinne Rowe, government teacher, Borah High School, is Lily's selected educator. Mrs. Rowe has encouraged me beyond what I thought possible to be engaged in my community, wrote Lily, not only through community service, but through city forums and tours. This taught me that there is more to my community and education than meets the eye, added Lily. Lily has committed to attend Pacific Lutheran University, a private liberal arts college in Tacoma, Washington, where she plans to major in accounting with a possible minor in environmental science or finance. Lily Jenkins and Corinne Rowe. Julie Jirick, Tony and Sadeghi, English teacher, Borah High School, is Julie's selected educator. Mrs. Sadeghi has been a wonderful support in my academic career, wrote Julie. Her enthusiastic personality made 7th period online classes engaging and assigned essays that allowed me to explore topics that excited me to write and learn. Mrs. Sadeghi continues to wave at me in the hall and genuinely cares about how I am doing as a person. Additionally, she has played a vital role in my college application process by the number of letters of recommendation she willingly wrote. Julie is considering where to attend college, but plans to become a nutritionist or physical therapist in college, specializing in female runners. Julie Jirick and Tony and Sadeghi. Lexi Johns, Donald Drobny, speech and debate teacher, Borah High School, is Lexi's selected educator. To put it bluntly, Mr. Drobny has been my #1 fan since day one. I joined debate apprehensively, and now I'm leaving with a lifelong passion. Mr. Drobny and his undying support have made me happy to wake up every day and go to school. Lexi plans to study film and theater at Boise State University while on their speech and debate team. As a career, Lexi plans to pursue creative writing endeavors through mainstream media outlets or film directing. Lexi Johns and Donald Drobny. Seth Kilworth. Chad Blazard, social studies teacher, Borah High School, is Seth's selected educator. Mr. Blazard developed a learning environment in which I was comfortable, allowed our learning to be fun, and sparked my interest in the study of economics as a career path. Seth will be studying at the University of Arizona this upcoming fall, where he will be studying agribusiness economics. Seth Kilworth and Chad Blazard. Sierra LaFrenz, Janice Papenga, Earth Science and AP Chemistry teacher, Treasure Valley Math and Science Center, is Sierra's selected educator. Ms. Papenga is so incredibly sweet and bright that it's impossible not to smile, wrote Sierra. I remember she was always so supportive, even when I felt terrible. She was always there to tell me I was good enough, that I had a wonderful future ahead. Speaking of a wonderful future ahead, Sierra is weighing her college options but plans to study for a career in veterinary medicine. Sierra LaFrenz and Janice Papenga. At this time, we ask that students, educators, and the principal of Capitol High begin to assemble for their awards. Now back to our century scholars from Borah High School. Brooke Mason, Bill Donaldson, accelerated pre-calculus teacher, Borah High School, is Brooke's selected educator. Mr. Donaldson believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, wrote Brooke. He celebrated my small accomplishments, never made me feel less than I am. Brooke will attend Brigham Young University to study for a career in accounting. Brooke Mason and Bill Donaldson. McKenna McKay, Julie Eckhoff, Research, Forensics, Anatomy, and Physiology and Internship Teacher, Treasure Valley Math and Science Center, is McKenna's selected educator. Julie Eckhoff assisted me in applying for the QuestBridge program, which provided me the opportunity to apply to over 20 schools for free and to receive financial aid that made college possible for me and my family, wrote McKenna. She also provided emotional support and humor at a time when I needed it most. McKenna is weighing her college options, but plans to earn degrees in mathematics and music performance. McKenna McKay and Julie Eckhoff. Luke Messerly, Rusty Clapp, 5th grade teacher, Hillcrest Elementary School, is Luke's selected educator. Unfortunately, Mr. Clapp was not able to attend tonight, but here's what Rusty wrote about him. Mr. Clapp just let me be me. He let me explore my passions and he didn't limit me. He understood that I was a basketball and just overall sport junkie, and he let me explore and use my creativity on that. Also, he's just an amazing dude. Luke plans to attend Utah State University, where he plans to study to become a billionaire philanthropist. I want to take that class. Luke Messerly and Rusty Clapp. Eleanor Mosley. Eleanor is accompanied by an uncle tonight, I believe, is that right? But Isabel Hope is a French teacher. Borah High School is Eleanor's selected educator. Madam Hope has taught me with an energy that makes her class exceptionally engaging and informative, wrote Eleanor. She's been my teacher for all of my years at Borah High, and her support and love for teaching makes her class one I look forward to every day. Eleanor plans to attend the University of Oregon to study for a career in computer science, hopes to work in software engineering or in game design. Eleanor Mosley. Elizabeth Neeson. Helga Frankenstein, 3rd grade teacher, Monroe Elementary School, is Elizabeth's selected educator. Mrs. Frankenstein always showed great enthusiasm for teaching us the material and emphasized learning, the reasoning behind the things we were learning, wrote Elizabeth. With an emphasis on teaching us math, her class sparked my love of math. Elizabeth is currently considering where to attend college, but plans to study for a career in computer science or mathematics. Elizabeth Neeson and Helga Frankenstein. Julia Niederer. Steve Tipping, AP Biology teacher, Borah High School, is Julia's selected educator. Mr. Tipping uses a variety of labs, lectures, and demonstrations to present information, creating a great learning environment, wrote Julia. AP Biology is a difficult class, but he's made the class very informative and also super fun. Julia plans to attend the University of Idaho to major in biology and become a physician's assistant. Julia Niederer and Steve Tipping. Jacob Pham. Rachel McIntosh, English teacher, Borah High School, is Jacob's selected educator. She encouraged me and helped me improve my writing, Jacob wrote. Jacob is planning to attend the University of California, Los Angeles to become a film director. Jacob Pham and Rachel McIntosh. Sophie Post. Christina Fitzner, teacher, Horizon Elementary, is Sophie's selected educator. Christina Fitzner has been an incredible role model to me of what a great teacher should be. She is kind, enthusiastic, and truly dedicated to what she does. I am so grateful to have had her as a mentor, Sophie wrote. Sophie is planning to attend the University of Idaho to study to become an elementary teacher. Sophie Post and Christina Fitzner. Rebecca Rupp. Jane Davis, U.S. history teacher, is Rebecca's selected educator. Unfortunately, Jane is not able to join us tonight due to illness, but Rebecca's parents will walk with her. Rebecca had this to say about Mrs. Davis. While in online school, Mrs. Davis made it feel pretty normal. We had a lot of different breakout rooms and activities that were both fun and educational. She made sure we were prepared for the test. She is kind, supportive, and understanding, Rebecca wrote. Rebecca is still considering her post-high school options. Rebecca Rupp, and looks like her mom. Maggie Sawyer. Greg Mitchell, sports medicine at Borah High School, is Maggie's selected educator. Mr. Mitchell has taught me not only the science of sports medicine, but the personal side of caring for others that is so important. His impact has inspired me to become a healthcare professional, Maggie wrote. Maggie plans to attend Willamette University and to pursue opportunities in the medical field and coaching. Maggie Sawyer and Greg Mitchell. Sierra Schultz. Diana Steiner, German teacher, is Sierra's selected educator. Frau Steiner is an amazing teacher. She works hard every day to make sure her German classes are enjoyable and full of learning. Her life experiences bring fun and interesting aspects to the class while also teaching us a new language. One aspect of her class that I have really enjoyed is that Frau teaches us the culture of Germany rather than strictly the language. This makes it much more entertaining and gives me real-life information that I can use in the future. Thank you for being such a wonderful educator, Maggie wrote. Maggie plans to attend the University of Idaho, would like to become a secondary teacher, and to continue officiating football. Sierra Schultz and Diana Steiner. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are your Borah High Century Scholars for 2022. It is now my pleasure to invite Rotarians Terry Gilbert, past District 5400 Governor, and John Lodahl, President-elect of Boise Sunrise Rotary, to come to the stage to continue the awarding of the certificates. Thank you, Scott and Donna, who have been our officials so far. So now, go ahead. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Derek Gardner, principal of Capitol High School, who will share some highlights with you about his school's 2022 Boise Rotary Century Scholars and their selected educators. Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Bea. I'm honored to present to you this group of seniors who are outstanding representatives for Capitol High School. This may be arguably one of the most special, but certainly the most resilient class of students that Capitol High School will graduate. These seniors started their high school journey with the school closure, online, and hybrid instruction. And this was the first somewhat normal year that they've experienced. In spite of all these obstacles, these 18 seniors have achieved academic excellence. They've taken the most challenging of exams and skills tests in the most challenging of ways. They've managed all manners of accolades, including National Merit Scholarship recognition, unbelievable GPAs, and acceptance into our nation's most distinguished universities. And further, they have been great ambassadors for our values of Eagle Pride. I'd also like to acknowledge our significant educators. It's an honor for you to be selected by these students. You're the reason that Capitol High School is a special place. You don't just teach a subject or a discipline, you teach students the path to becoming outstanding citizens. Thank you to Be Black and the Rotary for putting on this special event. And congratulations once again to all the students and significant educators being honored tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Our first Capital High School Century Scholar is Abdullahi Abdi. Ryan McGill, Fairmont Junior High School. History teacher, I should say, is Abdullahi's selected educator. What I liked about Mr. McGill is that even after passing his class, I still talk and have conversations with him. Most of the time when I finish a class, the teacher and I stop interacting, but we have been talking for years, Abdullahi wrote. Abdullahi plans to attend Tufts University to pursue engineering and computer science. Abdullahi Abdi and Ryan McGill. Kason Anderson, Shonda Palsulich, Capital High School Advanced Placement Capstone teacher, is Kason's selected educator. What makes Mrs. Palsulich a great teacher is her attentive care and desire to create close relationships with her students and relate to them on more than just an academic level. By truly understanding her students, she's able to ensure that they excel, Kason wrote. Kason plans to study architecture or construction management at Texas A&M University. Kason Anderson and Shonda Palsulich. Artur Bajahowski, Frank Comiskey, engineering teacher at Capitol High School, is Artur's selected educator. Mr. Comiskey inspired me to push myself in the field of engineering. He presented a multitude of interesting projects that appeal to students' interests and aided them throughout the process of successfully accomplishing these ambitious tasks, Artur wrote. Artur plans to attend the United States Air Force Academy to become an officer, a pilot, and an aerospace engineer. Artur Bajahowski and Frank Comiskey. Talia Carter, Lynette Weller, Mountain View Elementary, gifted and talented education teacher, is Talia's selected educator. Ms. Weller advocates for her students as if they were her own children. I am eternally grateful for her gentle compassion and swift determination. She has built my character and will continue to be a strong mentor for me throughout my education. Talia plans to attend Boise State University to study to become a mechanical engineer. Talia Carter and Lynette Weller. Anya Cole, Brittany Garrick, Capitol High School French teacher, is Anya's selected educator. Madame Garrick is so kind and genuinely cares about her students and French. She is truly an inspiration to me, even in the little things she does. I cannot imagine my high school experience without Madame Garrick, Anya wrote. Anya plans to attend Utah State University to become either an English or French teacher. Anya Cole and Brittany Garrick. Claudia Constantino, Brittany Bresky, Capitol High School AP research teacher, is Claudia's selected educator. Ms. Bresky helped me develop a liking for research and discovering challenging ideas. Even though the class was not easy, she split up the workload into manageable sections, and she is always willing to help and listen, Claudia wrote. Claudia is considering where to attend college, but would like to study chemical engineering. Claudia Constantino and Brittany Bresky. Lindsay Crandall, Sky Hetherington, sports medicine teacher at Capitol High School, is Lindsay's selected educator. Miss Hetherington has been a constant positive influence in my life since the day I stepped foot into her classroom. From learning how to bandage cuts to advising me in my extracurriculars, she has been there every step of the way in high school, Lindsay wrote. Lindsay would like to pursue a career in linguistics and the Romance languages. Lindsay Crandall and Sky Hetherington. Gavin Dash, to Linda Case, teacher at River Glen Junior High School, is Gavin's selected educator. She was a teacher I could confide in about anything. She taught me life lessons that I still remember to this day, Gavin wrote. Gavin is considering his post-high school options at this time. Gavin Dash and Talinda Case. Alexa Forbes, Defon DeVries, River Glen Junior High School, critical literacy teacher, is Alexa's selected educator. Mr. DeVries was key to my freshman year success because he believed in my abilities to be a good student and a good person, and continually challenged me to be the hardest worker in the room and determine how to be a successful student athlete, Alexa wrote. Following college, Alexa plans to pursue a career in the field of neuroscience. Alexa Forbes and Defron DeVries. Kaylee Frank. Catherine Younger, AP drawing teacher at Capitol High School, is Kaylee's selected educator. I don't think I knew what art class was like until I took painting in high school, wrote Kaylee. Mrs. Younger is the most encouraging, helpful, and accepting teacher I've had in the past 3 years. Without painting class, I probably would have stopped making art, Kaylee wrote. Kaylee plans to attend Hamilton College in Clinton, New York. Kaylee Frank and Catherine Younger. At this time, we would ask that students, educators, and the principal of Frank Church High School, Riverstone International School, and Sage International School to begin to assemble for their awards. Now back to our Century Scholars from Capitol High School, home of the Eagles. John Harris, Tegan Carter, Advanced Placement World History teacher at Capitol High School, is John's selected educator. Mrs. Carter has shown me what it means to be an adult above all else: responsibility, compassion, and an ever-hungry desire for knowledge. From her role as a teacher to her role as a mentor, she has been a beacon of light in my educational career, John wrote. John plans to attend Boise State University on his way to becoming a social media star. John Harris and Tegan Carter. Jacob Lee, John Doherty, Capitol High School anatomy and physiology teacher, is Jacob's selected educator. Mr. Doherty has been my cross-country and track coach for 4 years. He taught me how to balance my life and other areas like education. He's also the best medical teacher I've ever had and has inspired me to become a doctor, Jacob wrote. Jacob plans to attend BYU, Idaho to study for a career as a physician. Jacob Lee and John Doherty. Melina Mohammadi, Crystal Scott, research mentor, is Melina's selected educator. Mrs. Scott has been hands down the most impactful educator in my life. Through her mentorship, I discovered my passion for research and genetics. Her unwavering support and constant encouragement has energized me to chase my dreams, Melina wrote. Melina plans to pursue biomedical research, both in college and as a career. Melina Mohammadi and Crystal Scott. Bodie Packer, Katie Bosch Wilson, Capitol High School computer science teacher, is Bodie's selected educator. Miss Bosch Wilson is the teacher who got me interested in computer science, and I feel has planted the idea that computer science and work in general can be fun, alongside making a difference in the advancing world, Bodie wrote. Bodie plans to pursue computer science both in college and as a career. Bodie Packer and Katie Bosch Wilson. Grace Reeder, Matt Jacobson, Capitol High School English teacher, is Grace's selected educator. Mr. Jacobson taught English principles well and had realistic, well-communicated expectations for students. He also built up relationship with the students and treated them as individuals, Grace wrote. Grace plans to pursue mechanical engineering both in college and as a career. Grace Reeder and Matt Jacobson. Alikia Tanakella, Julia Thom Oxford, Boise State University, Department of Biological Sciences professor, is Alikia's selected educator. Unfortunately, Dr. Oxford was not able to attend tonight. Dr. Oxford wrote, Alikia has given me every opportunity to succeed, from allowing me to join in research at her lab to supporting me throughout the process of publishing my peer-reviewed paper. She is always willing to encourage and support my dreams and goals, Elikia wrote. Elikia plans to pursue a career in medicine. Elikia Tanakella. Leah Vandegraff. Rebecca Griss, Valley View Elementary School teacher, is Leah's selected educator. She was very influential to me, Leah wrote. She taught me how to be successful in school and still is an important part of my life today. Leah plans to attend Brigham Young University to become an elementary school teacher. Leah Vandegraff and Rebecca Griss. Aiden Weaver. Amber Jolly, calculus teacher at Capitol High School, is Aiden's selected educator. Out of all 6 AP classes that I have taken and the teachers I have had, I can say that Mrs. Jolly is the best AP teacher I have had and probably the best college level teacher I will have. She teaches in a way that is made for the easiest AP tests I have taken. Aiden plans to attend Boise State University to study computer science. Aiden Weaver and Amber Jolly. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your Capitol High School Century Scholars for 2022. Now allow me to introduce to you Frank Church High School Principal Mr. Nate Dennis, who will present his 2022 Rotary Century Scholars and their honored educators. Mr. Dennis, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Dan. Tonight, we are excited to celebrate some of Frank Church High School's students and staff. At Frank Church, we put an emphasis on academics and career opportunities that will help our students after graduation. We ask our students to accept and embrace life's challenges and then move forward with our mission of promoting resilience and perseverance. Our vision is that of the Boise School District to prepare our students for college, career, and citizenship. The students being recognized tonight have been champions of this vision. I couldn't be more proud of their accomplishments and the way they represent Frank Church High School in our building and in our community. We would also like to acknowledge our teachers tonight. We appreciate their hard work and dedication to their profession. They are the reason that we have such a vibrant spirit of community at Frank Church High School. Congratulations to all of the student and teacher recipient of the awards this evening. This is a wonderful honor. Thank you to the Rotary Club for putting on such an excellent event celebrating our students and staff. Now I will turn the microphone back over to Dan, who will read the names of our Rotary Century Scholars and their selected educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Dennis. Our first Frank Church High School Century Scholar is Riley McDougall. Dorothy Berman, math teacher at Frank Church High School, is Riley's selected educator. Ms. Berman is really helpful and insightful. She's also very supportive and understanding. She makes her classroom so welcoming, and she gets to know each of her students on a personal level. Riley plans to attend College of Western Idaho to pursue a career in diesel technology. Riley McDougall and Dorothy Berman. Ayana Martinez. Tara Haley, Frank Church High School avid teacher, is Ayana's selected educator. Ms. Haley is so kind-hearted and has this positive energy that brings a smile to anyone. She helped me to reach for the stars and to never stop chasing my dreams, Ayana wrote. Ayana plans to pursue a business degree and open her own nail salon. Ayana, Torres Martinez, and Tara Haley. Tony Bain. Leanne Thurston, Economics and American Government teacher at Frank Church High School, is Tony's selected educator. Ms. Thurston explains things so clearly concisely and in a way anyone would understand. She is easy to talk to and truly makes learning fun, Tony wrote. Tony plans to attend Boise State University and pursue a career in art education. Tony Vane and Leanne Thurston. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your Boise Rotary Century Scholars from Frank Church High School. May we have one more round of applause. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Paulson, head of school for Riverstone International School, who will share some highlights with you about his school's 2022 Boise Rotary Century Scholars and their selected educators. Mr. Paulson.
National community, I'd like to thank the Rotary, Bea and Dan and others for organizing such a wonderful evening. It's truly an honor to recognize exemplary students and fantastic educators, so thank you very much for doing this. Riverstone International School is happy to be here this evening to celebrate our students' extraordinary academic achievements and the educators that have supported them in their journeys. Riverstone's mission is to inspire courageous journeys of academic and personal exploration that enable our students to lead purposeful lives. Our students are guided by three simple principles: to seek knowledge, to respect oneself and others, and to take action to help our community. Ryan Wilkin and Kaya Zoller are the students that we at Riverstone are honoring at this event. Their special educators, John Moreno Ramirez and Josh Udison, are two of the best teachers I've had the privilege to work with, and they're being recognized by their students for their extraordinary efforts. Ryan is an exemplary student and representative of our school. He won the Head of School Award last year, which is awarded to students that best embody leadership via our guided principles. He works hard to support his fellow students and his community. He is diligent and conscientious, whether that is helping run the yearbook program, creating a volunteer trash pickup team, or offering a kind word to his teammates. Kaya has been with us since kindergarten and has demonstrated excellence in academics throughout her academic career. She has maintained an exemplary GPA while committing to various outdoor pursuits and volunteer opportunities, including planning multi-day backpacking trips, learning to fly fish, or helping distribute food boxes with the Boise schools. We as a school community are excited to wish them well on the next parts of their journeys. Ryan at the Colorado School of Mines and Kaya at Colorado State. Please welcome Dan as he reads the names of Riverstone Century Scholars and the names of the teachers each student has selected as their significant educator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Our first Riverstone International School Century Scholar is Ryan Wilkin. John Marino Ramirez, math and physics teacher at Riverstone International School, is Ryan's selected educator. Mr. Marino has furthered my joy for math and physics by teaching me perseverance and making the class a collaborative place, Ryan wrote. Ryan plans to attend the Colorado School of Mines and study mechanical engineering. Ryan Wilkin and John Marino Ramirez. Kaya Zoller, Josh Udison, art and geography teacher, Riverstone International School, is Kaya's selected educator. He is a great teacher who works hard to make class fun and engaging every single day, Kaya wrote. Kaya plans to attend Colorado State University. Kaya Zoller and Josh Udison. This concludes the Student Award recipients and selected educators for Riverstone International School. May we have another round of applause for their great achievements. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Brandy Burkett, High School Director, Sage International School, who will share some highlights with you about her 2022 Boise Rotary Century Scholars and their selected educators. Brandy?
Thank you. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, B. We've almost made it, you guys. We're doing great. I'm I'm so grateful that I got to come here tonight to celebrate all of you, but most especially the 2 students here from Sage International School. Tonight is the 7th time Sage International has been recognized in the Boise Rotary Century Scholars Program. We typically graduate about 50 students from Sage, so we get 2 who we get to bring here tonight to recognize. As I prepared to stand up here tonight, I wanted to make sure to capture the particular excellence of Abigail and Theodore. While I've come to know them both as incredible students, I did not feel that my own words would suffice to sum up what makes each of them unique. So I did a little bit of homework, and this is what I learned. In the words of Sage biology teacher Stuart Murray, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, most people think that students like this have it easy, that they don't have to work very hard because they're just really smart or they're just really good at everything. He said that nothing can be further from the truth. When he talked about Abby, he said that Abby Jones is one of the hardest working students he's ever known. He commented on her grace and her humility. And my own experience with Abby is that when I told her that she was our school's valedictorian this year, she was actually surprised. And I think that that speaks so much to her character because she didn't have an expectation. She was just grateful to hear that, hey, all my hard work's paid off. I asked Dr. Faith Hansen, she's our language and literature teacher and resident professor at Sage, to describe the type of student that Theo is. Dr. Hansen said this. She said, Theo Geary is a beautiful thinker. There are moments when she would like to stop time to pause her lesson or her discussion and just sit with Theo and talk more about the complexity of his thoughts. She said that Theo sees both the darkness in the world as well as the light, and she calls him one of the rare, beautiful thinkers of our time. Abby and Theo both perfectly represent what it means to be an IB student. They embody our school's attributes, and they are the example of the types of students we wish to propel into the world. They're destined for greatness, and we can't wait to see where they go next. Dan, back to you.
Thank you, Director Burkett. Our first Sage International School Century Scholar is Theodore Geary. Melissa Webster, history teacher, Sage International School is Theodore's selected educator. Ms. Webster is extremely kind and supports all of her students, creating a classroom environment that is always pleasant to be in. Her lessons are always engaging, and she has helped me improve my writing and researching skills drastically. Theodore wrote, she is hoping to be accepted to the University of Washington's Marine Biology program. Theodore Geary and Melissa Webster. We would ask at this time that the educators and the principal of Timberline High School to begin to assemble for their awards. Now back to our Century Scholars from Sage International School. Abigail Jones, Stuart Murray, biology teacher at Sage International School, is Theodore's selected educator. Unfortunately, Mr. Murray was not able to attend tonight. Walking with her is Abigail's father. Mr. Murray is the teacher who I will always remember, Abigail wrote. He supports me, encourages me, and makes learning enjoyable. I'm always excited for his class and never find myself bored. Mr. Murray treats students more like friends than people under him, Abigail wrote. After college, Abigail would like to pursue a career as a forensic scientist or fire investigator. Abigail Jones, her father, and Stuart Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your Boise Rotary Century Scholars from Sage International School. Please, another round of applause. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Diana Molino, Principal, Timberline High School, who will share some highlights with you about Timberline's 2022 Boise Rotary Century Scholars and their selected educators. Principal Molino.
Thank you, Dan. Wow. What do you say after you've already heard so many good things about so many fabulous students and their educators? Well, First, I'm very grateful and honored to be here this evening to take a few moments to highlight Timberline High School's outstanding scholars, along with their selected significant educators. Our teachers and students have persevered throughout the adversity of the last 2 years. I know that's not the first time that you've heard that this evening, but for that, tonight's celebration is especially sweet. Our scholars represent far more than just the high standards of academic achievement we embody at Timberline High School. These students represent the resolve, dedication, integrity, compassion, leadership, and sense of community that truly define our work. They are recognized for far more than being top academic students in their class. Many have achieved these top GPAs while participating in athletics, often as team captains, or other activities such as music, speech and debate, drama, clubs. Several of our students are actually founding members of the clubs that they participate in. I'd also like to point out that many of these students also volunteer their time working with civic groups and agencies, including health and welfare and the foster care system, City of Light Home for Women, the Humane Society, Brick House, the Idaho Legislature, St. Luke's and St. Alphonsus, the City of Boise, the YMCA, and many, many others. Their desire to create a more positive, inclusive future for themselves and their community drives their success, not just their GPAs. Their compassion, leadership, and service is exemplary. And through their work, these Timberline scholars inspire and reassure us that our future is actually in good hands. The teachers they've chosen to honor tonight have, in many cases, been an immense source of foundation, encouragement, and genius for these students, and thousands more throughout their careers. They pour their heart and soul into their craft, and tonight's scholars are definitely representative of their efforts. I'd also like to thank their parents. You have sent us your best. You have done an amazing job. And most importantly, you've trusted us with your children. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Bea and Dan for organizing this event, as well as the Rotarians in the Treasure Valley for recognizing the work of these educators and the efforts of these students. At this time, it's my pleasure to turn the microphone back over to Dan to read the names of each Timberline High School Century Scholar and the names of their selected educators. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal Molino. Our first Timberline High School Century Scholar is Aline Abraham. Adam Ward, Emergency Medical Technician Teacher at the Dennis Technical Education Center, is Aline Selected Educator. Mr. Ward's EMT class is the most engaging and inspiring class I've been in. He has empowered me with the knowledge and confidence to save a life and has intensified my passion for medicine, Aline wrote. After college, Aline would like to pursue a career as a physician scientist. Aline Abraham and Adam Ward. Geo Beck. Greg Sasser, speech communication teacher at East Junior High School, is Geo's selected educator. I was a shy, quiet person who was scared of in front of others in my second language, English. Having speech class with Mr. Sasser helped me to overcome the fear in English and gave me confidence in speaking in front of a large audience, Geo wrote. Geo plans to attend Cornell University and pursue a career in computer engineering. Geo Beck and Greg Sasser. Alexa Barnum. Sheila Brown, Riverside Elementary School teacher, is Alexa's selected educator. I would not be where I am today without Mrs. Brown. She taught me important life lessons at a young age, including perseverance and hard work that have stuck with me. She supported me through tough times and encouraged me to be my best self, Alexa wrote. Alexa plans to pursue a career in dentistry. Alexa Burnham and Sheila Brown. Nathan Alex Boudet. Lori Roberts, Timberline High School English teacher, is Nathan's selected educator. She is a light. Mrs. Roberts begins the year by telling her students that she intends to love them and will end it with all of our hearts. She's always on our side and won't let us forget it, Nathan wrote. Nathan plans to pursue a career as an attorney. Nathan Boudet and Lori Roberts. London Carter. Ross Schultz, Timberline High School history teacher, is London's selected educator. Mr. Schultz made learning about history so much fun. We had meaningful conversations that made me excited to come to class. He is very passionate about teaching. I also had the privilege of being one of his players on the soccer team, London wrote. London is still weighing her post-high school options, but would like to study for a career in the field of political science. London Carter and Ross Schultz. Kwan Yu Chen. Laurel Johnston, Timberline High School history calculus teacher, is Kwan Yu's selected educator. She's my favorite math teacher. She made calculus a fun course when it's really difficult. She tries her best to make sure every student understands the materials and answers every student when they have questions. Kwan Yu wrote. Kwan Yu will attend the University of Texas at Austin and study chemical engineering. Kwan Yu Chen and Laurel Johnston. James Giffen. Brenda Spurgeon, Riverside Elementary School teacher, is James' selected educator. Unfortunately, Miss Spurgeon was not able to attend tonight. She was always kind and willing to help, as well as super supportive, James wrote. James plans to attend Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and study computer science. James Giffen. Emma Graham. Karen Moss, sociology and U.S. government teacher at Timberline High School, is Emma's selected educator. Ms. Moss stands out to me as an educator because of her contagious passion for learning, no matter the subject, and her strong desire to see her students succeed, Emma wrote. Emma plans to attend Southern Methodist University to pursue a career in data science. Emma Graham and Karen Moss. Ariba Hargan. Jared Morehouse, statistics and discrete math teacher at Timberline High School, is Ariba's elected educator. Mr. Morehouse encourages his students to try to discover a concept method before teaching it to them. This significantly helps in understanding and retaining the knowledge. He motivates students to challenge themselves in and out of class, Ariba wrote. Ariba plans to pursue a career in engineering. Ariba Hargan and Jared Morehouse. Juan Seo, Dana Wong. Annie Munoz, science teacher at Timberline High School, is Dana's selected educator. She's kind, teaches my favorite subject, easygoing, understanding, loving, well-organized, and prepared, Dana wrote. Dana plans to pursue a career as a cardiothoracic surgeon. Dana Huang and Annie Muniz. Maxwell Jewell. Liz Parson, Riverside Elementary School teacher, is Maxwell's selected educator. Mrs. Parsons was one of my favorite teachers because of how great she made every day. Between the activities and the fun atmosphere, Mrs. Parsons' class was always something I looked forward to, wrote Maxwell. Maxwell plans to attend Duke University. Maxwell Jewell and Liz Parsons. Jinho Kim. Nalisha Johnson, AP Chemistry teacher at Timberline High School, is Jinho's selected educator. Mrs. Johnson knows how to connect with her students. Her awareness of her students on a personal level translates to her great teaching within the classroom. Even outside of class, she is always more than willing to interact with her students, Jinho wrote. Jinho plans to attend Brown University and to pursue a career as a physician. Jinho Kim and Alicia Johnson. James Liu. Oscar Ortega, East Junior High history teacher, is James's selected educator. He's a very great teacher, James wrote. James plans to pursue a career in computer science. James Liu and Alicia Johnson. Excuse me. And Oscar Ortega. Sorry about that. Dimantha Mauji. David Crisp, Timberline High School history teacher, is D-Month's selected educator. Mr. Crisp truly embodied what it meant to love what you do, the fact that he had a true passion for history. His love for his work trickled down onto his students, as every day he would have engaging lessons, interactive notes, and intriguing personal anecdotes. Crisp bestowed a love for history, which I didn't have prior, and I'm highly grateful to have Crisp as a teacher before his retirement. DeMonth wrote, DeMonth plans to attend Vanderbilt University and to pursue a career in either the medical or technical field. DeMonth Nagy and Dave Crisp. Luke Mason and Rob Hinberg are not here today, so we are now Nicholas Medapoli and Carrie Harder, Timberline High School AP Government teacher, is Nicholas's selected educator. Ms. Harder has a brilliant personality and genuinely encourages interest in a field that I never thought I would like. Every day I come into her class and I'm greeted by one of the kindest people I've ever met, Nicholas wrote. Nicholas plans to attend MIT and one day start a company specializing in nanotechnology. Nicholas Medapoli and Carrie Harder. Kellen Neal. His selected educator is Sean Boston, Timberline High School physics teacher, but Kellen is walking with his father tonight. Mr. Boston has all the qualities that any teacher should try to embody: tough but fair, an expert in physics, constantly growing professionally. He's more than just my AP physics teacher. He's shown me the avenues available in my future as an engineer. Mr. Boston is someone everyone should try to be. He is prepared, sets clear and fair expectations, has a positive attitude, and is patient with students. Kellen is still weighing his post-high school options, so please recognize Kellen Nia, and in his stead is his father walking instead of Sean Boston. Jimin Rue. Aaron Stutzman, Timberline High School research teacher, is Jimin's selected educator. More than a teacher, Mrs. Stutzman was one of my most valued mentors in my high school career. Whether it was helping prepare my independent projects or giving me lifelong advice about research in college, she used whatever she could to help me out, Jimin wrote. Jimin plans to pursue a career in software engineering and artificial intelligence. Jimin Rue and Aaron Stutzman. Okay. Sanjeev Mukesh, walking with his father, who is taking the place of Greg Hudiker, Timberline High School AP US history teacher, is Sanjeev's selected educator. Mr. Hudiker could not attend, but this is what Sanjeev said. Mr. Hudiker doesn't have tests in his classes, yet makes me work hard. I like how he teaches novels with multiple layers of resources to give students various perspectives. He makes it easy for me to connect with him via one-on-one conversations, Sanjeev wrote. Sanjeev plans to pursue a career in engineering, research and development. Sanjeev Mukesh. Priyanshin Vogailo. Jeremy Bronner, Timberline High School English teacher, is pre-selected educator. Mr. Bronner was the first English teacher that actually challenged my skills in the English language, and this was the first English class that I had to work very hard in. Despite the difficulty of the course, Mr. Bronner made the class very fun, Pre wrote. Pre plans to major in computer science. Pre Bugeu and Jeremy Bronner. Jackson Serwas. Anna Resnick, East Junior High School AP Human Geography teacher, is Jackson selected educator. Mrs. Resnick effectively communicated complex topics to her students, brought an engaging sense of humor to the classroom. Ms. Resnick was especially dedicated to preparing her students for their AP tests, even when class was virtual, Jackson wrote. Jackson plans to pursue a career as a surgeon. Jackson Serwas and Anna Resnick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are your Timberline High School Century Scholars for 2022. On behalf of all the students, teachers, and principals this evening, we would like to thank the Boise Rotary Clubs, all the program sponsors, organizing committee, our MC Ron Gambassi, our distinguished speaker Danny Aravich, and especially all the individuals who contributed time and resources to make this program possible, including all the principals who have been so great to work with and the Boise School District Administrative Office. It is now my pleasure to turn the podium back over to Ron Gambassi.
Thanks, B. I'm confident one of these students is going to fix my rotator cuff. I'm just going to have to nurse it for about 10 or 12 more years. It's time to conclude our 17th annual Rotary Century Scholars Program. I want to thank again our many sponsors and all of you for supporting the event. Our radio voices behind the mic, Dan Holler and B. Black tonight, did a great job. Our Rotarians on stage and getting everybody lined up, Karen and Chuck especially standing up for the last 2 hours. Photographer Todd Fisher, Rotarian, who's taken a break. And the AV crew, thank you guys for all you've done for us tonight, made our job a lot easier. I will say there's been one person that has been the driving force behind this event for most of the last 17 years. And we have the tireless, devoted B. Black to thank for this fabulous evening. B, stand up. There are no shortcuts to excellence in education. It comes from hard work, discipline from the students, dedication and passion from the educators and administrators, and support, of course, from the family and friends of these aspiring and ambitious young people. The SATs and ACTs are over, thank heavens. The applications, letters of recommendations are submitted, and the teachers are ready for a well-deserved summer break so they can do this all over again next year. As you leave this evening, please take a moment to reflect on the milestone these students have achieved. Give thanks for their educators and look with optimism on what their future holds. Ladies and gentlemen, our program is concluded. Thank you and good night.